The Cheyenne Bryant controversy or criticism has been so robust and so large that it's made to Forbes magazine. This article was published May 28th, 2026, and the title is What the Cheyenne Bryant Controversy Reveals About Trust, Credentials, and the Influencer Era.
Message!
Now, basically what this woman is going to attempt to, the argument she's going to attempt to bring to the viewer, the reader, is what type of person are we choosing to listen to in this modern era with, podcasts and YouTube and social media and all these things? What type of person are we listening to, and who do we find credible, or do we care who we find credible?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
It's a good argument. There will be a little bit of colorism sprinkled into here, but I think you'll get the overall point, and I want to bring it to you for your Friday viewing pleasure. I clicked on the person that wrote this, Ms. Holskin. She is a contributor of Forbes, and of course, she's a little bit of an activist, if you will, I guess. It says providing provocative views on racism, pop culture, and mental health. Like I said, I found the article interesting in lieu of the Cheyenne Bryant controversy, so I'm going to bring it to y'all. So we're going to read this together. Before I do, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to further contribute to the channel, I implore you to hit the join button down below. Become a member of the Working Man Union. Hit that hype button. Hype me up in the algorithm. Please hit that hype button. And please hit the Cashapp $Mr. Normie. So let's scroll down here and let's get a little bit of reading going here. Y'all heard him get you in and get you out. It says here, there is a larger cultural conversation sitting beneath the recent controversy surrounding relationship influencer and motivational speaker Cheyenne Bryant. And it is not simply about one woman. Over recent weeks, Bryant has faced public scrutiny regarding questions about her academic credentials, professional licensure history, and use of the title doctor. Bryant has defended herself publicly, arguing that her impact, lived experience, and years helping others should matter more than institutional validation alone, while critiques have questioned transparency and accountability in the wellness and relationship advice space. Now, do not get me wrong. There are several people in the wellness and relationship advice space on multiple platforms. However, I don't believe there's many, if any, that are touting themselves as doctor and are not able to produce credentials to back up such title. That is the entire problem. It was singular to Cheyenne Bryant because she got exposed, but there are other people that get exposed in different ways, but not as far as their academic credentials and accomplishments, if you will. It says here, but the controversy raises a broader and perhaps more uncomfortable question that examines if in the influencer era, what makes people credible? Is it education? Well, it should be, I guess, a little bit of that. Where's my sound effect?
Yep.
Is it educational, clinical expertise, or professional ethics?
Yep.
Or are audiences increasingly placing trust in charisma, relatability, aesthetics, confidence, or social proof? Increasingly, the lines appear more blurred. Now, I will say this right here. People listen on social media to a myriad of people from different backgrounds and walks of life and levels of education. Me, myself, I have an associate's degree in general studies that I got when I was in the military. It don't mean crap. I got it for promotion points, but I did graduate high school, and I can say I have a degree, even though it's in general studies, which is complete BS. From an online college too, by the way, so there's that, okay? However, I do have relatable experiences, okay? I do have some sort of confidence. I don't know if I have charisma or do I look good to y'all. If you do, feel free to tell me down in the comment section. But yes, I think it depends on what you're listening to, what kind of person you are. It all depends. Everybody listens to different people for different reasons. And if you think they're credible, it's because what you feel credible. The only thing with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is that she got exposed for not having a degree or not being able to prove it, which in most people's eyes means that you don't have it if you can't prove it. And that's that.
This
girl.
is a sickness.
I'm happy for you, my girl.
Of the highest order.
Whoop, whoop, let's go.
There is no hope for this one.
The rise of the influencer expert. Over the last decade, social media has fundamentally reshaped who the public turns to for guidance on relationships, trauma, mental health, and personal growth. Traditional gatekeepers like journalists, clinicians, academics, and researchers no longer control access to information. Instead, podcasts, TikTok clips, Instagram reels, and YouTube interviews often shape public understanding faster than peer-reviewed research could. Well, you can blame the internet for that, okay? And you can also blame, I guess, the greater society because people are putting less trust in these professions. I mean, I think politics kind of ruined that, and you can go, people will call no blame on Donald Trump, but I can go further back than that. People have lost trust in a lot of the traditional ways that you will learn things. Now, of course, with the advent of the internet, a lot of things that these professionals know, you can Google for yourself. So it doesn't make you a professional, but it does make you more educated on the topic. So if I can Google something and tell you, the viewer, just for recreation, the same way you would pay somebody to do, you know what I mean? Who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the person that you had to pay money to, or would you listen to me? Especially if you don't have that kind of money, or, you don't feel like going through that whole process. Guess what? You'll go on TikTok, you'll go on Instagram, you'll listen to the Working Man podcast, and you'll say, okay, you know what? I got the same information from him that I could have paid $300, $400, $500 an hour to get. I mean, that's the society now. People are down bad, and really they don't trust the institutions now. In many ways, that okay, y'all, Alabama educational system, I'm going to try to pronounce it. In many ways, the democratization has been beneficial. People who once lacked access to conversations about therapy, healing, attachment, trauma, and emotional wellness now encounter those ideas daily online. But accessibility can also create confusion between lived experience, coaching, commentary, entertainment, and clinical expertise. Those distinctions matter, especially when advice impacts mental health and relationships. Now, I would never tell somebody if you having a problem, a really, really serious problem, not to go seek mental health or go seek therapy or whatever it is that you need on a professional level. However, a lot of us are just going through the humdrum of life. And so we don't need to pay somebody to get information that would be beneficial to us or that will help us on our journey without having to, sign up for a course or pay a therapist or pay for some type of pathway that will help us. Again, people are down bad in the economy. People are losing trust in the institutions. They're losing trust in the healthcare economy. They're losing trust in politics. So guess what? Again, if they can learn something online, by the Working Man podcast or by, whoever, and they can learn something from a person online via TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and they don't have to pay for it. They don't have a situation that's that dire. They just need to get through the day, or they just need help explaining what they're feeling right now. Because I've listened to a lot of people on YouTube and on other platforms that they simply put a phrase or a word to something I was already feeling. And it just helped me better understand it now that I could, put a word to it to help me understand it better. I didn't need to go to therapy for that. I just needed to put a word to something that was itching at me the whole time I couldn't really figure out. Once they put a word to it and kind of put a frame around it, I was like, okay, well, I know how to navigate it perfectly now. Now I know where it is. And then I did a little Google myself to put even more context to it. Okay, I got it. I didn't need to pay for that. I got that for free on my own. That's what's happening today. The clinicians, the therapists, the doctors, all that stuff's going away. And plus, again, economy, money. People don't have money to pay for these things.
If you're broke, just say that.
The halo effect and psychology of credibility. Research has long shown that people unconsciously assign positive traits to attractive individuals. Psychologists refer to this as the halo effect, a landmark 1972 study by psychologists Karen Dion, Ellen Birchfield, and Elaine Walter famously summarized the phenomenon as what is beautiful is good. Now, of course, this would be attached to females in the industry, okay? And people like Cheyenne Bryant, people like what's that lady's name I seen Goob talking about? Sadia Khan, people like that. No, they're very nice looking ladies. I mean, I can't take that away from them. And people will tend to listen to them because they're pretty. And I'm sorry, but that's not I don't need psychology to figure that out. That's a natural reaction, right? You see the woman that's beautiful, you tend to look at her, and she tends to start talking. And if she's saying something that makes sense, you're going to listen a little bit longer. Now, of course, she's just talking gibberish, then, that blood flow and brain power probably goes somewhere else. But still.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Yes, sir, brother.
It's a natural thing, but you have to be strong in mind not to get caught up in the looks, right? If you're trying to figure something out for real. Participants consistently perceived attractive people as more trustworthy, intelligent, competent, and socially desirable, even without evidence supporting those assumptions. Decades later, research continues to find that attractiveness influences hiring decisions, salaries, legal outcomes, and perceptions of competence. Well. Okay. Participants perceive attractive people as more trustworthy, intelligent, competent, and socially desirable, even without evidence supporting those assumptions. I don't disagree with that. Now, as far as like work and stuff like that, we know not all, but some of these people, they're just plain airheads, okay? I mean, that doesn't mean just because they're good. Actually, the fact that they're good looks, that they look good or look very attractive should actually make you question all these things. Because we know now in today's society that people that have these good looks, they often have had stunted growth mentally and emotionally, right? So somebody that's perceived to be up on the attractiveness scale, you actually should question all these attributes. I mean, in my opinion, but again, I'm 46 years old, so I've been through a lot. So for me, that's automatic. The better you look, the more I question your level of intelligence, to be honest with you. The less good you look, the less I question it. So that's just me. I mean, is that a bad skill? Yeah, maybe, but that's my lived experience, my truth, okay? In practical terms, people often extend credibility emotionally before verifying it intellectually. Social media amplifies this tendency. Polished visuals, confidence, emotional storytelling, and aspirational branding may create a sense of authority long before credentials are examined. Yes, charisma and all these kind of things, being able to talk, the gift of gab, all these things very much help people, especially in social media, to help people. Helps you, gather an audience. People will listen to you more if you have the gift of gab, if you're able to talk, if you look reasonably attractive. You know what I mean? So, and this goes for men or women. So there's that. Colorism adds another layer. Here we go, the colorism. Within communities of color, discussions around beauty and credibility cannot be separated from colorism. Scholars have documented how lighter skin tones and features perceived as closer to Eurocentric beauty standards may influence perceptions of desirability, femininity, professionalism, and trustworthiness. Research by psychologist and professor Margaret Hunter found lighter-skinned women ought to experience social and economic advantages tied to beauty standards shaped by proximity to whiteness. Okay. All right. No, I'm not going to go too far over that. If you believe that, the closer you are looking white, the more people are going to listen to you, or the more you fit in with, the European beauty standard, things like that, I get it. It's a race thing. You can argue that down in the comment section. I really don't care about it, okay?
Damn.
The question raised by some observers during the Bryant controversy is not necessarily whether she deserves criticism, but whether audiences unconsciously extend more softness, grace, or benefit of the doubt to certain public figures based on aesthetics before qualifications are ever considered. That question extends far beyond one influencer. Now, I don't know how they came up with this question because nobody gave her grace after they figured, well, I'm not going to say that because the one lady from the After Dark podcast with Paul Pierce and one Amanda Seales have given this woman a lot of grace. And Amanda Seales basically came out and said, so what, she's not a doctor. I was like, yo, I got to cover that another day because that was just bonkers. But anyway, unconsciously extend more softness, grace, or benefit of the doubt to certain public figures based on aesthetics. Yes, again, this goes back to what they said, the halo effect. You think she looks better, you give her more grace, you give less criticism. It does happen. I can't deny that, but we're talking about Cheyenne Bryant. Podcast culture and the decline of critical interviewing. The controversy also highlights another growing issue. Many podcast platforms prioritize relatability and virility over accountability. Unlike trained journalists, many creators are not taught how to verify claims, challenge inconsistencies, request documentation, ask follow-up questions, or contextualize expertise. Now, again, that all depends what platform you're going on, because a lot of these people, they go on these soft interviews, and so they don't get any pushback. A lot of people, and that does, yes, they are going, they are prioritizing virility over accountability. Yes, some people are, but these people know that they're going to get viral moments. So what they do, they say, you know what, come over here. The person that's going on says, you don't ask this question, you don't ask this question, you don't ask this question. Much like Kamala Harris. But anyway. They go on there, they have this great interview because they don't get any pushback. The person being interviewed can say a bunch of viral stuff. And the podcast person, they read the benefits of it. Now, you go on different podcasts and they coming for your neck, like a Corey Holcomb or, somebody like that, then you might get challenged. Again, it does depend on what platform you go on. And these influencers that they're talking about on this article, they know what platforms not to go on. And so they just purposely avoid them. Instead, conversations often function as affirming spaces rather than investigative ones. This does not necessarily make podcasts irresponsible. That's debatable. But it does shift how information spreads. Confidence can begin to sound like credibility, and emotion can begin to replace verification. And I do agree with you. If you like somebody, it could replace the fact that they're actually credible. I get it. Confidence sounds like credibility. If somebody can talk good, people tend to less likely question, again, their credibility, their credentials. So that, I believe that. I think that too. Yes. Why this matters beyond one person. The Cheyenne Bryant debate is ultimately not just about Bryant. It reflects a broader societal shift in how trust operates online. Americans are increasingly skeptical, Alabama school system, of institutions while simultaneously more vulnerable to high personalized forms of influence. I gotta stop reading so fast. People often trust creators because they feel emotionally accessible, relatable, and authentic. But authenticity and expertise are not interchangeable. Neither are influence and accountability. True. Authenticity and expertise are not interchangeable. They are both different. You can be authentic but still not be an expert in your field and what you're talking about. That's true. Because you're acting yourself or you're being yourself doesn't make you smart. And just because you have influence, because you have a large crowd, people will find you might hold you less accountable because they'll be scared. That's true. The larger issue raised by the Cheyenne Bryant controversy may not be whether audiences should trust influencers. Many creators provide meaningful encouragement and insight. But instead, how do we determine credibility in an era where visibility often arrives before verification? I agree. Because increasingly, the internet does not simply reward expertise. It rewards attention. Attention has never necessarily been the same thing as truth. I got to give him a... Now, that is true. The internet does not simply reward expertise. It rewards attention. That is a fact. The attention spans of these algorithms, of these platforms, of the internet itself relies more on attention than expertise. Now, it doesn't mean that, of course, if you're in a specific lane like healthcare, politics, politicians, things like that, these people in these lanes, these are places where your credibility should be called into question. But hell, they let that one guy get through all the way to Congress, and they end up freaking putting him in prison because he faked his whole John, which I forgot his name. But yeah, so again, attention, expertise. Where does the line start? Who do you listen to? What content do you value? That's a question that only you can answer, but expertise is important, right? And with that being said, thank you for attending another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Few. If you still made it here, thank you for being here, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, add the notification bell. We're out of the door. Let me know what you think about this article down in the comment section, and I will see you on the next video.